Had something stuck in my throat this morning, apparently. Give me 1 second.
Okay. 1 second. We can do that.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Nothing that a cool drink of water can't fix. So do we have a broadcast date for this one today?
We do. It is going to be November 2nd.
November 2nd. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. And let's do a quick round of sound checks here. Karen, if you want to go first for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Loud and clear. And is it Shanna or Shayna?
Shanna.
Shanna. All right. Go ahead. Count back from 5 for me, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Awesome. Awesome. Loud and clear. Let me send a test message here for you, Karen. Make sure
Okay.
you do that.
Yep, got it.
Perfect. And how many breaks are we doing today?
You know what? Let's just do 1.
All right. So 2 26-ish minute segments.
Okay. And you'll count me in for like 4 minutes, 3, 2, 1 before we go into break. Okay,
Yep.
Perfect.
That's why we
Okay.
make sure you see that test message.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
All right. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready to rock and roll.
All right. Are you using an external mic or are you using the mic on your
I'm using my Yeti.
you're
I
using the
believe.
Yeti? Okay, scoot it a little closer for me. Just want to
Okay.
make sure it's picking up on that and not your wired one.
Okay, is that better?
Tap it for me with your hand.
Did you hear that?
I don't hear it. So I think it's picking up on your
Just
wired
went weird.
earbuds.
Did you hear that?
Nope.
Hey, did you hear? Can you hear me now?
Still the same. Do me a favor, go down by the mute button. There's that little up arrow.
Can
Click
you hear me
that.
now?
No, it's still the
No, I
same.
lost them completely.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me, Shanna?
I can.
Okay, I can't hear you though now.
Testing. Hello,
Okay, let
hello.
me try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's still the same though. I think it's still picking up on the internal.
Okay, do you want me to go do something?
Yeah, so if you go by the mute button, there's that little up arrow. Click that
Yeah.
arrow and then
Okay.
click audio settings. And then for microphone, make sure that the Yeti's selected on the drop-down box.
Okay, so audio, click on that. It's not doing it. Is it doing it?
No, it's still picking
Yeti,
up.
yeah.
It
So it
is.
says Yeti.
Okay, where's your Yeti right now?
It's like about a 3.
No, I mean like in relation to you. Is it right
Oh.
next to you, right in front of you?
Yeah, right in front of me.
Okay, make sure it's turned the right way too.
Okay. Turn it more towards me. Is that better?
Count back from 5 for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is the light facing you?
Yeah.
So for some reason it's not picking up on your Yeti, but it's saying that it's the Yeti in the microphone section.
Do you want me just to get off the Yeti completely?
Well, you already are off the Yeti. For some reason it's picking up in your earbuds on the wired
Yeah.
mic. It's picking up on that.
Okay. So what do you want me to do?
I think the only thing that would fix it would be a computer restart, but we don't really have time for that. We can roll with this for this pre-record. But let's set up a time if you want to book another pre-record just to test and see if we can figure this out. We'll have the whole hour to do so.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds good.
All right. I'm going to count you in. Here we go in 4, 3, 2.
Now means so much more today. The time to unite business savvy entrepreneurs to a higher level is happening. Are you going to move forward or stay put? Are you willing to step up and unite together? My guest today, Shanna Edwards, is here with me, joining me, and we are going to dive deep into some wonderful, wonderful information that Shanna has to share with us today. Shanna, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. I am so excited to have you here with us.
Thanks. I'm excited too.
It'll be great. As we start every episode, Shanna, I love to just take a moment to ground. And I invite my listeners and my guests to do this with me. So if you're in a safe place, and cross your legs and cross your hands and just close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And blow out. Another deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And this time, as you take a deep breath in, I invite you to bring your hands up around your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug. And repeat this affirmation. I am worthy of my love. Repeat it 3 times. I am worthy of my love.
I am worthy of my love. I am
I am
worthy.
worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. And take another deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And one more deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. Now tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept. One more deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. Listeners, I hope that felt good. Shannon, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can't hear you again. This is crazy, crazy, crazy.
Oh no.
We're like having episodes
Karen,
with our
Hey, Karen, I stopped the recording for a second.
my microphone today. So we might have to do something here, Shanna. I might have
Karen.
to have you call me and see what we can do here. Just a second. It's crazy. Sorry, everybody.
Hey, Karen, can you hear us?
I don't know. Erin, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Can
Yeah,
you hear us?
I can hear you now. I can't
Okay.
hear Shanna. Shanna,
Can you hear me?
now I can. It
Okay.
keeps going back and forth.
Huh.
Are
and
your
it's-
headphones plugged into the microphone itself?
They are.
They're not plugged into the computer?
Uh-uh.
Okay. That's really strange.
I know. And maybe it's my headsets. Is
Can you
why
hear
we.
us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Shanna, go ahead and talk to her real quick. I want to make sure she can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me play back where we left off coming out of the meditation real quick.
Okay.
So we can pick it back up from there. And I'll count you back in before we start.
Okay.
One second here.
Thank goodness we're not into your nose and out through your mouth.
So we basically left off at the end of the meditation. I'll just count you back in from here and we can start.
Okay.
In 5, 4, 3.
As you take that last breath, I hope you guys can focus in with us and be in the present, be in the now, and the importance of being in the now. Shanna, I always love doing my affirmations and the power of the thought. Affirmations are really important to me. And my listeners know I have affirmations all over my mirrors, in my house, in my doors, and just the brain is so powerful with the way we think. And I've had to reprogram my thought process over the years to
Right.
become the person that I am, right?
Right.
And I think it's so, so important. So at the beginning of each of my segments, I love to do an affirmation. And as I read the affirmation to you, Shanna, will you share with the listeners what comes to your mind as I read this? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I want you to lean in with your heart. Like eagle behind, you lean in with your heart. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the affirmation. I am worthy of transformation. I am worthy of transforming. Sorry, I am worthy of transforming. I am
Right.
worthy of transforming. So when I read that, what came to your thoughts?
Well, I think as humans, we're always evolving. And I know for me, I lost myself for a while, for probably the better part of a decade, and sort of lost my worth, lost my self-esteem, and just kind of forgot who I was. And it's been a journey. It's been a beautiful journey, but it's been filled with a lot of pain too. And getting back to who I know I am, and coming into my own and transforming into the person that I believe I now am, has been life-changing.
It's incredible how that happens, right?
Yes.
It's usually in the depths of the darkness where we have to really dig deep and find who we really are again.
Yeah.
And it is painful and it hurts.
Yes.
But we're doing so much better now. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you lose me again?
I think so. No.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I've stopped the recording. We can hear you.
Okay, but now I've got can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
See, I can't hear you unless the mic. Sorry, guys. See, if I plug this in, then I have a rattling in my ears.
Is the headset bad by chance?
You know what? It could be the headset. Yeah.
Do you happen to have another pair we could try out?
Yeah, let me try this one. Ah. That one's doing the same. Can you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't hear any rattling or anything like that.
Yeah, it's clear.
And you don't hear the buzzing. It's just on my end.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's some kind of interference or something like that, but we're not picking it up on the
Because I
recording.
just hear this buzzing.
Oh no.
What if I just undo the Yeti all completely?
Okay,
Is that
we can-
right?
Yeah, we can go with that. If we're gonna do that, we might have to start from the top again.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it'll sound drastically different. So
Okay, because this is in my ear and
Yeah.
it's not good.
okay.
So if I do that, can you hear me and can I hear you guys?
Yeah, can you hear us?
I can't hear you guys though.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Yeah, so go.
Hmm. Okay, so go into audio settings, sorry. And switch to built-in internet. Payment system. Okay, so can you, Shanna, can you say something? See if I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you
I
hear me?
can't hear.
Can you hear us?
Okay, now I can.
Now you
Can-
can hear.
Can you
Yeah.
hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're just going to start back over from the beginning of this recording, just
Okay.
because the volume is going to be a little different. So we'll take it from the top, okay?
Okay, here we go, babes.
Awesome. All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Now means so much more today. The time to unite business savvy entrepreneurs to a higher level is happening. Are you going to move forward or stay put? Are you willing to step up and ignite together? Today, these answers will be ones that you will hear that Shannon and I will be talking to. And Shannon is my guest today. Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
I am so glad you're well. It's been a crazy morning already. We've had to record this thing about 3 times because of my side. But hey, that's part of what we do. And we just kind of have to go with the flow.
Yep.
So, listeners, as we begin every podcast, I love to just like ground, and I really need it right now.
Shake it off.
Shake it off. So, I invite you to like close your eyes, cross your legs, and just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now bring your arms up around your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug. And repeat this affirmation to yourself. I am worthy of my love 3 times.
I am worthy
of my love.
I am worthy of my love. I am worthy
of my love. Take another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept.
Accept.
Another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Listeners, as we are present and in the now and united together, I invite you to be still, to be here with us during this podcast, to become one, to put the ego behind us, leaning in with your heart, listening to the stories, listening to the information that will be shared between Shanna and I today. Take one more deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now that we're all here as one in the present, in the now, I appreciate all my listeners and my guest today, Shanna. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Listeners, as I love my affirmations, and I have them on my mirrors and my closet, my sticky notes. And affirmation has been something that has been very powerful in my life to reprogram, retrain, rethink my thoughts about who I am and what I am. And so I want to share our affirmation today. And Shanna, as I share, I invite you to let us know what you think about when I share this affirmation. And I love my affirmation cards because I just shuffle them out. Whatever pops out is the one I use. I never look at them before I share them with you. So this affirmation is, I am worthy of transforming. I am worthy of transforming. So when I read that, Shanna, what comes to your forefront of thought process when I say that?
Well, I think as humans, we are always evolving. For me, I would say the last 6 years, I have taken a deep dive into myself because I went through about a decade period of time that was filled with some trauma and some struggle and a toxic relationship where I sort of lost myself. And so transforming into the person that I am today and remembering who I am has been life-changing for me. So
yeah,
I think we're all worthy of changing and transforming.
I agree with you. And I appreciate you sharing that. It's in our darkest times when we really have to lift ourselves up and realize what is important for our souls as an individual and not worry about hurting other people, because a lot of times we are the ones being hurt.
Right.
And being aware of that and seeing that and taking the actions and the steps to get out of a toxic relationship, to whatever that toxicity is for an individual, to be aware and be able to make those hard choices.
Right.
To grow and to evolve. I appreciate you, Shanna, for sharing that so much. As we begin, Shanna, I love to have my guests tell me a little bit, and the listeners, about who you are. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I am a mother, first and foremost. I have 2 incredible children. Sophia is 13, Jet is 9. I am a real estate professional. I've been in the real estate industry for just over a decade now. I am an active outdoor lover. I'm born and raised in Ogden, Utah, and love the mountains, love the water, love to ski, wake surf, also love the ocean. So I try to travel and get near the ocean as much as I possibly can. And social butterfly. Yeah, I've always been a social person. And yeah, just doing life the best that I can at this point.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're an outdoorsy. I think that was something that connected us when we first met, was like, oh my gosh, well, reconnected, because we knew each other, but then we reconnected, 5 years later. And how grateful I was to have that reconnection with you again, and just seeing you and finding more about each other and diving deeper onto the transformation of each of us and what we've done as individuals over the last decade.
Yeah, it was nice to get to know you better and to see that we had somewhat similar stories and we're really aligned in our thinking.
Yeah, so much aligned, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's all about, and that's the thing, this whole podcast is, even though we're in the business world and career field, is bringing women together. Right. And admiring each other for what they have. Yeah. Besides seeing the beauty inside of us as individuals, looking at the other person and going, oh my gosh, she's amazing, but not comparing, just highlighting and lifting up that energy between other women.
Yeah, I love that. The not comparing, that stuck out to me. That's so key right now.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that. I just think in the past, society has compared as women. I mean, I remember growing up, being little, and looking at all the magazines at the grocery stands and looking at these beautiful women and these models. And I'm thinking, oh, I have to be like that.
Right.
And how wrong of thinking that is.
Yeah. Well, now we have social media, which I think it's in our face every day.
It is. Right? Yeah. And it makes it hard. I mean, that transforming to become yourself is, to me, increased the difficulty even so much, because social media is in our face and we're scrolling and we're looking and comparing and going, oh, their life seems so amazing. Right. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And in reality, we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah. I agree. And it's not just, for me personally, it's not just from a personal standpoint, it's also professional, because we're in the same industry, mm-hmm. and seeing everyone's successes and always feeling like you may not measure up, or you're not doing the business that they do, is hard. It's hard on our psyche and your self-esteem, and that heaviness can really weigh you down if you let it. So keeping a clear perspective of just knowing your worth and knowing what your strengths are, and understanding that we're all on our own journey and having our own human experience, right?
Yes.
And it's not always about how much money we make, although it's nice to be successful, and it's a necessity. There's so much more. It goes so much deeper in having a fulfilled life.
I agree with that. And there's so much. And when you said like we're in the same career, how did you I want to just deep dive a little bit into more the business side of what got you into your career and made you decide to do what you do? Because I know you didn't start in real estate.
Right. I've been in sales, like some form of sales for many years. I actually started selling gym memberships. That was kind of my first sales job. I worked for Performax in Layton, and then a local little gym in Ogden, but started just doing sales and kind of caught that bug and enjoyed it. ended up working in the title industry. I was, at the time, they called them marketers for a title company down in Salt Lake. I was single at that time, and then ended up meeting my former husband, and we started a family. And then I decided I wanted to get back into work after my firstborn was about 9 months old. So I ended up getting into real estate at that point and getting my real estate license, and kind of dove headed.
So as you build your real estate, because I know we have women that are listening in the real estate business, and some are newer, like just beginning. Is there any insight you can give those just starting out in the real estate world?
Well, it's a relationship business, right? So for me, I've solely built my business off of my relationships, my sphere of influence, and tapping into family, friends. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. That's tried and true. And so if they know you and they like you and you're authentic and they can trust you, they'll likely want to do business with you. And so for me, I was never a huge cold caller. I tried that for a period of time, and I did okay, but I have a hard time, like, with the scripts. And for me, it just felt disingenuous. It wasn't authentic, kind of robotic. So I've always just relied on just building strong relationships with people, and then taking care, like seeing it way down the road after a transaction. Like I want my clients to be my long-term friends.
All right.
People that I check in on a regular basis, or send them a little pop by or something. Just letting them know, like, hey, I'm here. How is the house? Because I truly care. I want to know if you're still happy. Did we do good?
And I think that's the key right there, is following back up. I mean, it's so important in the heat of the moment, making sure everyone's happy and things like that. But it's that relationship building, but continue with it. And relationships are hard.
Right.
They take time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I always think at the end of the day, when my life is over, what am I going to regret? It's not going to be spending time with people I enjoy and love. I will never regret that.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So listeners, I hope, like, any form of sales, to me, it's all about the relationship building, the one-on-one with people, and being true to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important. When you're talking about cold calling, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like in the, at the beginning, they're always about cold calling and do this in the business. And I was like you, it's like, here's your script, read your script, know your script. I'm like going, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw me when yeah. You see, as I read my script to start introduce on this podcast, I'm like stuttering over my words, because it's not, yes, I need that. Yes, it's a guideline. Yes, but it's like, I have to be in the flow. You just have to be and feel, and through the phone, be able to connect with who you're talking with.
Absolutely.
And how important that is.
Yeah.
They call that cold calling. To me, it's wholesale. It's all about wholesale. And it's like, get it done, get done. Here's a script you don't want, move on to the next, move on to the next. And that's like, makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
But those people that do it, more power to you. I'm not disclaiming what you do, because it's a technique and it's also a gift.
Yeah, I can say I respect it, because I'm not great at it. So those that have it dialed in, and that's the name of the game for them in their business, my hat's off to them. Because it's hard. It's hard, and it's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of you're hung up on constantly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get yelled at. It's an interesting thing to have to do, actually.
Yeah. Well, you have to have thick skin, and I wear my feelings on my sleeves. I'm like, people know when I'm having a good day, and they know when I'm not, because I don't hide it. It's just like, here we go,
Yep.
And that rejection, like you said, sometimes it's like,
yeah,
I'm not cut out for that. So tell me what you're doing now. So you are involved in the Northern Wasatch Women's Group, right? Council of Realtors?
Yes, I am the standing president. So 2022 Women's Council of Realtors president for the Northern Wasatch Association. My year's almost coming to an end here, but it's been a wild ride, and I've enjoyed it very much. It's pushed me to grow a lot.
And what are share with our listeners some of the highlights of it, and then the harder things that have helped you grow, if you can kind of go into detail a little bit about that. Because going to positions like that and being a board, being the president of the board, running these women, doing what's going to be best for them, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot of weight on your shoulders. For me, I am a perfectionist, and so, and I want everything to be seamless and run perfectly. So learning patience and learning to let the small stuff go that's been something where I've learned and I've grown a lot this year, because normally I'm a control freak and I want it to be a certain way. And we're always pivoting we have these events every year, and it's a lot to put on an event with 150 people coming, and you want it to be a success. You want them to get the value out of taking time out of their day to come to one of your meetings, so that's huge. So that's been a highlight. As far as again, I'll go back to relationships, because I have made some incredible relationships, friendships, like long-term friends that I know will stand the test of time. And that's been huge. Even learning to get up and speak in front of people, because I hate public speaking. And now I'm pretty comfortable with it. But I remember in January at our first meeting, I was so nervous, like ridiculously nervous. And that's been another thing of growth. So I would say growth, relationships, and just learning to let this small stuff go and pivot and just kind of adapt in the situations. The hardest thing is if things haven't been successful, as you wanted them to be, and learning from those events or what you did wrong, and then implementing the change of what will make it better, I think has been key.
And just being in the meetings with you when you are conducting, you're very open to ask, okay, what were the pros? What were the cons? How can we do better? How can we make it better? What were the complaints? And being open enough to hear, to make it better for the next year, for those people coming in as a president for these functions, for these events, and helping them make it better for next year.
Yeah.
And I love that. Not everyone's like that. Not everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
How they can do better. Because then, you know what I mean? You're like, no, it was perfect. Let's move on to the next function. I don't want to know what was wrong with it.
If it wasn't that successful, like having to ask that question, what went wrong and why, but that's, for me, that's it, that works for everything in life, on a daily basis. Like, how can you improve yourself to the next day?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's really important, because it's continually to grow, to transform, the worthiness of transforming, and being aware of that. I talk a lot with my guests about labels. There's so many great labels people have, and then other labels that have been put upon them that they've accepted. I know you've got wonderful labels. You're a mom, you're a realtor, you're a friend, like all these things that you are. What are labels that have been put on you that you took on that didn't connect you to your higher being, your higher self? Things that you took on upon yourself that maybe weren't the most positive things, or ones that you wanted to get rid of and you've gotten rid of.
Right.
Share with the listeners.
I mean, just not feeling worthy. And that's kind of generalized, but kind of goes back to the beginning of the podcast when I was saying I lost myself. I was in I was in a toxic relationship where there was a lot of name calling and things I can't say on this podcast, but
Rated G.
yeah, just things that I knew it weren't me, but you start to believe those things because they're told to you on a consistent basis. So, derogatory names of, a female or things like that. And so just knowing that I am worthy and just remembering who I am has been key.
So one of your questions that you were willing to talk about was around your toxic relationship. So I'm taking it as your marriage that you were in.
Right.
And I was in one. And so I understand, a glimpse of what you might have experienced. But you formed your question in a way that has caught my attention. Is what did you learn
Mm-hmm.
from staying in the marriage too long? What did you learn from it?
I learned patience, a lot of patience, but I also learned that I never want to forget who I am again. And I will never let someone dim my light like that ever again, or try to define who I am based off of their own insecurities. I've learned how to have super strong boundaries with my energy and not giving people my energy if it's negative. I'm a very open person, and I want people to feel comfortable coming to me if they have a problem or a question, but it has to serve me well too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that those would be some of the biggest lessons that I learned.
I think those are really important. Listeners, I want you to think about this, because you could be in a toxic relationship and not realize it. Because after 28 years, it's step by, it's little comments, little things that happen. It's not only verbal, but the emotional relationship. I remember going through a time where my ex and I didn't speak for 6 months.
Yeah.
And that emotional, like, was I not good enough to be talked to? Mm-hmm. And how I was able to get through it, because it's just like, oh my gosh, here we go again. It's like one of those things, he's playing games with me again, and my mindset. But it does take a toll on your soul and your light.
Yeah. It's a compounding effect.
Yeah. And it's constant and constant. I know, listeners, there's going to be times where you could be going through this right now, or you might have already, or the future could lead to that. And Shanna hit it on the nose when she said boundaries. Like, she was able to realize the boundaries of the energy that she allows into her energy field. And if it's not healthy coming to you, Shanna, how do you push back? What do you say to protect yourself? Because I have friends like that. They're more toxic. I love them, mm-hmm. but they drain me.
Right. I call those energy vampires.
They are. That's what I call them in my Reiki class. They're energy vampires that attach to you.
Right.
Constantly cutting them off every day.
Yeah. For me, meditation and just taking time out of my day is key. Having a solid meditation practice, even if it's a minute of just putting your hands to your heart. That's something I do sometimes if it's been a crazy hectic day, and just taking breath, remembering our breath, slowing it down, breath is life, and just kind of getting yourself centered again. Because we'll go through our day and you can't avoid everyone that might bring negative energy your way. So just understanding how to get back to center, grounding yourself is huge. I'll even go outside and just put my feet on the earth or sit down and just, get rooted.
Yeah. And that's some part. I feel like you're my mirror right now. I'm like going, oh my gosh, change hair color and you're me, babe. It's like,
I love you.
I know, that's why the connection, because it's so much.
Yeah.
So listeners, we are going into a break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with Shanna, and we're going to deep dive into even more so about relationships and being a powerful entrepreneur, powerful businesswoman, but still not lose yourself or compare yourself to others. We'll be right back after this message.
All clear.
Okay.
All right, just a moment while we save it.
Okay, that sounds good. Oh my gosh. Shanna, I gotta get you coming. You gotta come to my retreat.
Yes, I would love to. Yeah. It's gonna be Utah, right?
That Sundance. So February 23rd through the
I
26th.
love Sundance, especially in February with all the snow. It'll be so gorgeous up there.
Yeah. I'm looking like I'm excited, like I'm planning all this. So okay, just what are your thoughts about dog sledding? Have you ever dog sled before?
No, but that would be incredible.
I know, I'm kind of looking into that.
Yeah, that would be a fun little activity.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, something that's going to be a little bit different that most people just don't go out to do.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, being in
Love
nature and just feeling the power
Yeah.
of those animals and what they do, because
So
they love to run. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we are all set for the next segment.
Okay.
Great. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Listeners, welcome back to Now Women Ignite. We have been speaking with my guest, Shanna Edwards. Shanna is a local realtor, and she is a president of the Women's National Board for Realtors this year, 2022. She's a mom of 2 amazing kids, and she is my soulmate. Like our souls, we're like twin flames. We were joking right before we went into break. I'm like, change the hair color. Just like I'm talking to myself.
It's true.
It's so true. And I just at the beginning of the show, we were talking about how, like, I met Shannon probably 5 years ago. We reconnected a year ago, maybe.
Yeah.
It was after COVID. And it's amazing to me, and it shouldn't be amazing, but every time the universe brings people back into my life and we reconnect again, and it's for certain times and for certain reasons. And I know when I met Shannon, it's like, okay,
yeah,
it is time. It is time to reconnect. It's time to go deeper on a deeper level and get to know who Shanna is all about, because we have so much in common. We have experienced some of the same things in life, along with loss. And you lost someone unexpectedly.
Yeah, I lost my dad. It's been 13 years now. He was 54. And yeah,
that's like my age plus 2 years.
I know. When I think about it, and I think, I'll be 43 here soon, and it just kind of puts life in perspective. And yeah, so he died of a heart attack. It was very sudden, very unexpected. And it was about 4 weeks before I had my first child. So I was very pregnant. And I also, there just was a lot of stuff going on in my relationship. It was a really hard time.
That is just, death is something, well, there's no good time for a funeral, there's no good time for a funeral. And
Right.
There's not. And when something like that is so sudden, how did you learn? Because we all have experienced loss. If not, we will. And loss is something that I've experienced so much of in my life. And I'm not sure why that has been something for me to experience. And I have learned in so many ways. But how has losing your dad, your role model, this male figure in your life, shaped you in a way, in a positive way? Because I think sometimes it's so hard to see the positiveness in losing someone. And I know when I lost Kalina, my daughter, I blamed God. Like, I was so mad. That energy was incredible. And I understand it's a part of loss and grief that anger comes in. And I know it was not God, like I healed and did all the stuff I needed to, but that anger takes over.
Yeah. And that damages you more when you carry that, So I, like you, I was angry too. I had a lot of anger. You don't understand it. What it's taught me is to savor the moments and even like the small things in life.
Mhm.
You know, our time is our greatest asset, and you never ever know when your time is up. And so for me, it's changed the dynamics of my family. We were always super close, but just taking the time to give someone a hug, like even if you're dropping something off at their house, giving them a hug, telling them you love them, and just saying the things that matter, because you just never know when that time is not going to be there.
Mhm.
So
It's true. And that has, and I'm that way also. It's like, you let the big things, well, even the big things, like, to me, everything in life is a situation. Every situation can be handled.
Right.
And we don't need to be trauma about it, because at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal.
yeah, I love that. Yes, too.
Yeah.
But not, it's going to be okay the next day,
Yeah.
not overthinking things, because there's so much that could be far worse.
Yeah. It's I'm in a new relationship right now, and he will make the comment, our first world problems,
Yeah.
because we have it really well, considering
Yeah.
what other places have it.
We're
And
pretty
understanding we are very, very blessed.
100%.
Yeah. And even though we've lost our loved ones, and we will continue, more people that we love or cherish will move on, but they're with us. And that's what, like, I know my family, those that have crossed, they're with me.
Yeah.
Guiding me and directing me. I just have to ask them, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I need help. I talk to Kalina all the time.
Yeah, they're your angels. They're
Yeah.
always around.
So as you talked a little bit about your spiritual journey and awakening. Can you go into detail? I know you mentioned a little bit about meditation and about grounding yourself and going into, like, when you start feeling a little bit, but awakening or spirituality is so different to everybody, but yet it's not.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I was raised in a very religious home. And so there was that sort of spirituality, very structured. This is what you're supposed to believe. This is how things are. And for me, it was always something that I never fully aligned with, even as a young girl. And so as I grew into an adult and then, was married and had children, there was always something missing, because I was no longer going to, a church and feeding my spirituality that way. But I've always believed in some sort of higher power, that we're not alone in this universe, that that there's something to everything that happens in this life. And so I actually just started going to an energy healer. That's how it sort of began. And just doing Reiki sessions and just different energy healing modalities with her. And then it just sort of progressed to where I've had, plant medicine journeys, and I've dove a lot deeper and had some life-changing, incredible, intense experiences that way, just reminding me of who I am, the power I possess, why I'm here, and what my purpose is, and then living that purpose, and not letting, I always call it the noise, the outside noise, or your fears inhibit you from diving deep and doing things that you might be scared to do, because that's probably exactly what you should be doing to make a difference.
How does that work? So I'm sure my listeners are going, okay, what are you talking about energy? I thought this is, we're talking about savvy entrepreneur, business woman. Mm-hmm. How does a woman who's in business, a successful business person, how do they apply energy into them? And how is that balancing for them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this point in my career, when I was first in real estate, you would work with anybody, right?
Yeah.
Because there's like this desperation, and I still, as long as it's a healthy relationship and the energy feels good in that business working relationship, I want to help you and work with you. But a lot of times people wouldn't respect you, or appreciate what you're doing. And it just makes it very complicated throughout like a transaction. So I think just knowing the energy of how they work or how they operate is key. That's huge. We're all different. And so respecting them, but also, again, going back to boundaries, having boundaries and knowing your worth and respecting yourself. If they're messaging you at 12:30 with, at night or whatever, there has to be some sort of business respect between professionalism there.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that so much. And it's interesting. I've had some women on my show who have been in the corporate world.
Right.
And being surrounded by the male corporation and, women coming into corporate world or sales or whatever we're doing, there's a stick, like, we are kind of still the minority in a lot of businesses and things like that. Being able to be strong and powerful and still respected comes from knowing, and this is where I love this about your journey, is knowing who you are as an individual.
Right.
And knowing your boundaries. I always say you have to know KNOW, your no and O, in order to know your yeses. You have to have a foundation. You have to know your bottom line.
Right.
And not allow yourself or anyone else to cross that no and O.
Yeah. They can't breach it.
Uh-uh.
Then you're compromising everything that you know about yourself and your belief system and the boundaries that you've created. So when you allow that to happen, you're really just disrespecting yourself.
Yeah. So in the corporate world or in business, real estate, and my whole thing is igniting women, no comparison. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love that comparison thing. How does one not compare themselves? I mean, I could look at you and see you on stage and go, oh my gosh, I want to be like Shanna. I love that. I want to be like her. I'm not good enough. All this regurgitating comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
How can you help someone? Let them know. Like what word of advice would you tell that lady who is always comparing themselves to someone else?
Yeah. Well, for me, that's an ongoing process where I'm every day, fighting that battle. And I think most people are. A lot of that is social media, I mean, I have to be very cognizant of what I allow myself to dive into on social media, because it affects me in a very, very negative way. I'm such a competitive person by nature. I always have been. I like to win, and I've done well in real estate, but I'm not the top dog by any means. And so not comparing myself to others in my industry, and just knowing that there's always seasons to life, right? And I'm in a season of life where my kids are my number one, myself, and then my family and my career. And the reason I say myself first is because if I'm not loving myself and taking care of myself, I'm not capable of doing that for anyone else in my life.
Sure.
And so, like I said, it really is an ongoing process for me. And it's a journey that I think I'll have probably forever, of just knowing I have strengths that others may not have. And I don't want to compare myself to what their selves were, or, that amazing picture, how great they look in their bikini, all of that stuff. I just have to put the noise away and just know that I'm doing the very best that I can in my career, in my life, with my family.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. You hit like the three things that my truths are too. Is I come first.
Yeah.
I need to be selfish. I need to take care of myself first. I need to feed my soul first in order to give to my family, in order to give to my career. But so often I think moms, women, we're very giving people.
Yeah.
We're always giving we're giving of ourselves to others, and we forget about taking care of ourselves.
Right.
And then one day you wake up, and one day you're like, I have no light, I have no passion, I have no goals, I have nothing. And your kids are grown. We're talking about seasons in life. You're in the midst of one of the funnest times in your life. You've got a 9-year-old and 13-year-old, and it's so exciting. But then you're like, yeah, and then you get, it's so busy. Then you get to my life, my season in life, and I'm by myself with my fur-legged friends, my little pups, because they've moved on. They've grown. And I don't want them in the house.
No.
But then all of a sudden I'm like, where's my work?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing now?
Right.
And as long as we continue to feed ourselves, we're going to have a little glimpse of, okay, now what do I have in life, after the kids are grown, the next season. But I believe if we continue to nurture ourselves along the journey where you're at 43, and working and continue to growing and journeying and working on you.
Yeah.
Having your passions, having your dreams, having your goals and doing them, you're setting the best example ever for your kids.
Yeah.
And I think
that's the goal too, right? Yes. We want to raise good humans.
Yes.
And we do that by leading by example.
And I think that's so important, because it's like one of your questions is like, how can we help our children? And we're like 4 minutes to close before we close, but what is your passion for your children? I mean, I know what my passions are for my children, and what you said is right where I'm at.
I say it all the time, and I tell them on a regular basis, it's my goal or my job to help you be good humans in this life. And, and then also knowing what you're passionate about, knowing who you are, and playing off of your strengths to be a successful adult. I want them to be self-reliant, but be loving and caring and thoughtful and grateful, and all the things that encompass a good human being, and we need more of that right now, because the climate of society is so ugly. There's such a negative cloud, and it's overwhelming, so just being good human beings that want to do good, that want to help others.
And I think that's so important, is to understand that and allowing them to help to have their journey, even though their journey might be totally different than what yours and mine are, is respecting that at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Before we close, Shanna, is there one word of advice you can give to the listeners today, the women out there who are listening? Anything you can tell them that you would love to just share with them?
I would just say, love yourself first, and remember who you are and why you're here, because you have something to teach others, and to just give the gift of light.
I love that. I appreciate you so much being on the podcast today. And listeners, remember our affirmation for this week. I am worthy of transforming. No matter where we're at in our journey, our seasons in life, we are constantly always transforming. And it's when we become stagnant and our light starts dimming out, it's time to be aware of where you're at this time, in this moment. Remember, the breath of life is so important. It is our gift. Now is a time for the power of woman to set fire and shine brightly as we stand together as one, yet as our own unique, brilliant selves. Until next week, sending you all love and light.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good job. We're all clear.
Okay, thanks, Aaron, so much for everything.
It ended up
You're
fine.
welcome. All right, you're very welcome. I'm going to jump out of the call, but you both have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Facebook Live listeners, I hope you enjoyed that show.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I love you guys, and we're going to turn you off right now.